How's it going, everyone? It's Vivi and welcome back to some Crash Bandicoot for It's About Time. Alrighty, long story short, let's keep this as short as possible, at least for this part of the video. So Toys for Bob decided to step up over on Twitter to clarify something that's been confusing people lately. Let me bring up their tweet. We're seeing confusion about MTX in Crash Bandicoot 4 and want to be gemstone clear. There are no microtransactions in Crash 4. As a bonus, the totally tubular skins are included in all digital versions of the game. There you go. There will be no MTX, aka microtransactions, in Crash 4 It's About Time. Before you say, but what if Activision decided to throw MTX, say, 1 month after launch? Basically what happened with CTR Nitro Fueled. Look. Yes, Activision ultimately makes the call, but the fact the developer itself stepped up and gave us clarification, I mean, if Activision decides to add microtransactions post-launch, this statement right here on Twitter is going to be held against them, and there will be a lot of backlash. So I'd like to believe that Toys for Bob knows what they're doing. By the way, this is the very first time the dev team actually confirms this. You know, going back to the situation with CTR Nitro Fueled, the whole story of not being MTX was a misconception. There was confusion going on. I was probably guilty of that in my older videos, saying that microtransactions weren't in the game. I was confused myself. Articles you probably had stumbled upon back then. Microtransactions was being confused with DLC when looking at Nitro Fueled. Nitro Fueled, we can say, gave us free DLC. You know, characters and new racetracks. But then 1 month later, we got actual microtransactions, paying real money for Wumpa coins. The Firehawk cart was charity related, so that one, I don't think it really counts. Yeah, the only thing that sucked about this when it comes to cosmetics, the whole Sour Patch Trident Gum exclusive codes in the US thing. Let me bring up a tweet which summarizes what the heck is going on. Thank you to user JumpButton over on Twitter. For your information, Activision saying there would be no microtransactions in CTR was bad reporting. They said there would be no paid DLC, which there isn't. This was misquoted as no microtransactions. Thomas Wilson said openly multiple times, pre-launch, they were evaluating monetization. For those unaware, Thomas Wilson is co-studio head and creative designer at Beanox. You see the difference already, right? Toys for Bob confirming no microtransactions. They're using the actual term MTX. They're not using DLC. This is the developer we're talking about. There's no confusion. There's your confirmation. Don't expect MTX when you buy the game. If ever Toys for Bob is wrong, long term, let's say Activision decides to throw in some sort of MTX later down the line, which I doubt, because like I said before, there's going to be backlash if this happens. So I really hope that Toys for Bob knows what they're doing. If there is MTX in the future, if anything, knowing Activision, it's going to be cosmetics, aka skins. Hate or like the idea, you are not obliged to spend money on it. Yeah, you wonder why even Activision shoving in cosmetics in a platformer. What's the purpose? I know. At the end of the day, the mindset I have is, it's Activision. As long as MTX doesn't affect story progression, I am personally not bothered by it. Let me tell you something. I am simply happy that we are at least getting a brand new Crash Bandicoot game. I don't know if this is something you hear often, but I am simply thrilled we are getting a brand new Crash Bandicoot game. If ever you see in-app purchases, like Microsoft Store for example, it doesn't mean the game will have microtransactions. It's probably a generic term used for future free updates, let's say. So for now folks, Toys for Bob stepped up and gave us clarification. There will be no microtransactions, okay? With that said, let's move on to something interesting but funny at the same time. Crash 4 It's About Time is rated M for mature in Australia. I know what you're all thinking. Crash Bandicoot rated M for mature. What, does Crash start swearing in this game? First and foremost, rated M by Australia's classification board is not the same as rated M by ESRB. Why M for mature then? Like I said, it's their own system. It's their own board for classification. I guess it is what it is. Let me bring up what mature means in Australia. The content is moderate in impact. Films and computer games classified M, mature, contain content of moderate impact. M-rated films and computer games are not recommended for children under the age of 15. They include portrayals of elements such as violence and themes that require a mature outlook. However, children under the age of 15 may legally access this material, as the classification rating is an advisory category. Parents, teachers, and guardians may need to find out more about the specific content before deciding whether the material is suitable for children, in their case. Basically, according to their rating system, Crash 4 is 15 and up. It's still weird considering how Crash is surely being marketed as a family-friendly title. Is there like a certain instance where a bad word, gets said once somewhere in the game? Are we to believe that the game as a whole is targeted for 15 and up? I don't know. It sounds funny to me. I mean, Crash Bandicoot, out of all games out there. Insane Trilogy, for example, was rated PG by the Australian board, which comes before M. It's not general, it's PG still. Crash for a very long time has been labeled as either E or E10 and up. Now taking a look at the ESRB rating, which is now official, it is E10 and up. According to ESRB, this is a platformer game in which players help Crash Bandicoot travel through time to stop a destructive force. Players traverse platforms, jump on enemies, pirates, robots, dinosaurs, and use a spin kick attack to knock characters out. Some characters, example, lizard pirates, use cartoony guns, rockets, and or dynamite against others. Characters generally disappear amid puffs of smoke and whimsical sound effects when defeated. There are a handful of depictions of alcohol, barrels, jugs near a tavern, with a frothy mug sign, neon signs of barrels with the word tavern. The game contains a comical depiction of a man vomiting. The words ass and bastard are heard in the game. So going off ESRB's way of describing the game, those two words, I guess according to Australia, it's rated M. I guess that explains it. Then again, it's rated E10 and up here in, North America. At the end of the day, Australia's rating system, it might change, we don't know. Next, there's new B-roll footage of a pirate-themed level. Let's quickly go over it. Again, Crash 4 really shows how a classic formulated Crash game can look like, with, a more expansive view of the area. Crystal Frissure was kind enough to allow us to reuse this clip he uploaded. This appears to be the area we see in the trailer, while we're rail sliding between rifts. There's a time trial clock on the left. Paying close attention to the Wumpa, it automatically gets attracted to you regardless of your distance. It appears we can't really hit these guys because they keep spinning non-stop. Ah, the new mystery crates from close-up. We did see this in the first B-roll footage, but now we see it from close-up. These things spit fire. As the fire stops, you break the crates for, Wumpa. Notice when you spin on this enemy, it bounces back on the other incoming enemy in front of you, thanks to those mice or rats spinning with their swords. That's a cool little detail, I don't know if you noticed that one. There's Aku Aku on the right, however we don't see him in action, cause I wanted to see it. This game is themed around quantum masks. I simply want to see how Aku Aku looks in Crash 4. As we rail slide our way across the level, on the right side, inside that room, is a bonus platform. Yeah, this is the second time we see a bonus platform, so that should be a clear indication that bonus levels, at least, are making a return. Here's a cool thing. When you spin near Wumpa, they don't get kicked away. Now, going off the fact that we have a tally system going off the Quavo footage we got on one of Crash Bandicoot's stories on Instagram. I mean, if we were to lose Wumpa by kicking them away, and knowing that they're used as currency, well, that would have been quite sad. As for the remainder of the level, we have a green exclamation crate for Nitro. Confirmed. There it is, folks. It does have a new sound effect and stuff going on. I'm not surprised. Now looking at the box counter within the vault. This, I believe, tells us that clear gems are still tied to actually finding all crates. Pollyann co-studio head at Toys for Bob said that clear gems would be awarded by not dying too many times, at least for modern mode. But he didn't specify if we had to break all crates, but looking at this crate counter right in front of us, I still believe clear gems will be tied to finding all crates. But why the extra layer of challenge? If you die too many times and yet find all crates, that means you won't get rewarded? Basically, yeah. We have two modes, modern and retro. Remember, modern, we have unlimited lives. And he did say that modern will have more checkpoints, you know, for hazardous areas, hard areas. So they wanted to still give some sort of challenge to the player. Whether or not this also applies to retro, you know, you dying too many times, who knows. Retro standalone, I feel, will already be tougher than modern. By the way, looking at the large number of missing crates, I mean, if we go back to what we saw before, a bonus round within this level, well, that basically could tell us that the crates within the bonus round do count towards the total. Basically, they're following off the trend of Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, what they did with the first game, because originally the first game, the bonus crates did not count towards your total. Yes, as for 2 and onward, it did count, but you get the point. Also, just like Crystal Frissure pointed out in his video, the music at the start does sound a bit like the music we hear from Insanity Beach, at least for the initial tone. Have a listen. So with that said, folks, this is it for the video. So as usual, thank you for always tuning in. And again, if I did miss anything interesting in particular in this B-roll footage, say so in the comments, alright? And as always, I've been Vivi, and thank you so much for watching.